Hey, besties. Let's throw some shade, honey. You ready to get into it? Katie, do you be lying, girl? You be having stories. They don't be adding up. You always, girl. Katie, you be lying. Are you like the Mia of Potomac? Because you know Mia be lying. And are you coming back next season? Do you think it's in your best interest to come back next season? Because you be lying, girl. Ugh. Ugh, I don't know. Hey, besties. Welcome to Behind the Shade. Let's throw some shade, y'all. Woo! Let's get into another episode of Real Housewives of Orange County. It's the reunion, honey. This is part 1 of 3. Did you hear me? Part 1 of 3. Now I'm like, come on, y'all. Let's do this in 2. Why we need 3 episodes? And I don't want to see Alexis for a whole episode, okay? Now, how do you guys rate this week's episode? Part 1 was fire. It's like Andy got right to it, honey. It went from Shannon and Tamara to they ate Katie butt up, chewed her, and threw her out. And then they went over there to Jen to pick Ryan apart. It's like, can he come on the show? I guess he probably not coming. Y'all think he gonna be there? I don't know. But anyway, let's get into it. I'm gonna rate this week's episode. It was good. It was a lot. I was just like, Katie, oh my goodness. It was interesting. They got some things resolved. It was good. I'll give it a solid. mm, I'll give it a 9. I'll give it a 9. Okay, let me know what you give it, and let's get to it. Okay, so Andy marked this season of the Real Housewives of Orange County. You know, this is the first franchise of this whole charade. This is how they started with OC. It is marked to be the 100th season of all the Housewives combined. So I believe they're talking about Orange County, Atlanta, DC. You know, that didn't last but what, one season? Dallas, Miami, Salt Lake, Dubai, Potomac. Ooh, is that it? Did I miss anybody? If I did, anyway. So that was good. Muscle talk to them. So let me just get into it. So Jen and Ryan are planning to get married in June of next year. And yes, she will invite all the ladies to her wedding with Ryan. So Andy goes around and asks, what is everyone's intentions for the night? What are your intentions? So Tamara says she wants to get to a common ground with Shannon. She just, they don't have to be best friends, but she wants to get the toxicity out of the engagement with her. They just want to kumbaya, baby. And so Andy threw her under the bus and said, oh, yeah, you said you were starting therapy. And she was like, gee, thanks. And he was like, no, this is good. Like, you need to bring this into the fold. You don't get to hide, honey. I pay you good to be here. Don't play. Because I done got rid of you already. I done fired you already. Don't think it can't happen again. And so she was like, okay, you're right. So she was like, see, he said, so why are you going? What are you trying to get out of it? And so Tamara says, she wants to see where her anger stems from. And I'm like, girl, your childhood. It's always about that childhood. Something happened that tore you up and you've been triggered your whole life. Then marriages, then love loss, then the key. I mean, it's a lot. But yeah, go unpack it at the therapist. And baby, good luck to that therapist, child. Tamara gonna be in there hollering at him. The therapist gonna need to call security, and then the therapist gonna need a therapy appointment after he deal or she meets with Tamara. So we gonna send a special blessing and shout out to the therapist that has to deal with Tamara. God bless you. So she also wants to convey to Shannon why she was hurt throughout all this, all of Shannon's stuff, right? So Shannon lets it be clear she does not want to be friends with Tamara. And so she told Tamara, like, when you came back after getting fired, when you came back, she said they just never got back to how they used to be. And so Tamara was like, so you're trying to tell me that all the years we spent, they weren't good, they were toxic? She was like, yes. You know, Shannon has been telling us each and every episode, honey, she is working on her healthy boundaries. And she had to say it one more time for the people in the back. And we got 2 more episodes, so she might say it again. Jen wants to get on a better path with Emily. Uh-huh. Katie wants to, she feels like she owes some things she regrets, so she owes some apologies because she regrets some things. She's gonna own it. She wants to own up to what she done wrong. Okay, girl, it's coming. Don't worry. Heather says she wants to be friends with almost everyone here. I was like, shady. Heather could be so shady. You want to be friends with almost everyone. So that excluded you, Katie. Catch that T. So Andy just dived right on into Shannon's DUI. It was like, golly, we ain't gonna talk about salsa, tequila. We just going right on in, huh, Andy? Andy was like, yep. So Shannon said she drank because she was miserable. You know, she wasn't happy on, all the reasons why you drink. And drinking kind of would just kind of calm all that. And so she said she would just keep going and going and going with those drinks. That's the difference between then and now. Because as we know, honey, Shannon don't miss an opportunity to order a drink. But we only see her with one drink. So yeah, that's her way of doing things. Because I don't really think that everybody that have a DUI is, legit alcoholic. You may, and some just get caught slipping. Some get caught, and she may have a problem. But if you just don't, what I've said before, drink, just don't drive. It's just that simple. That's how you avoid that. But you need to work on that because that's not cute being a drunken at your age, being a lady. Like, have some decorum when you drink, okay? So Shannon said she drank because she was miserable and she would just keep them drinks going. I just said that, huh? So Heather said, "Yeah, your blood alcohol level was high, honey. It was of someone who drinks a lot." Because Terry, the doctor, confirmed that. Like, whatever the limit is, Shannon was triple that. So yeah, and I don't even think I ain't gonna get into that. I was gonna say, but even the law, I don't even think, I don't know, did someone say that only really equal to like a drink and a beer? Like, it's not a lot, but yeah, if you going out and you drinking like 4 or 5 drinks, you doing too much, and that's expensive. You're supposed to have a cocktail at the house before you go out. Okay, have it at home, and then have one, and then maybe a nightcap. Do what you do. If you drunk, just don't drive, okay? So Shannon and Tamara, they go back and forth, honey. It just goes on and on. We already know what they fighting over. I was not about to make a note about you're drunk, you drink too much, you need this. I'm not. They had their regular back and forth that they've been doing all season. And Tamara made an interesting point. She said they have been talking about Shannon's drinking for the last 10 years. I was like, no, I don't want to like Tamara for that comment. But they did the flashbacks, besties. And I mean, Kelly, what's her last name? Dodson? You remember Kelly died. Kelly was talking about it at a reunion. Tamara talked about it on a few different reunions. Heather was talking about it. It was like, oh, Shannon, you may have a drinking problem. So then Shannon and Heather discussed their friendship. And then, the photo in Sonoma and all that, how she told her, don't say nothing. Heather said she wouldn't. And then Heather started talking. So Heather said she didn't talk about the crash and the picture until Shannon talked about it when she was on the Jeff Lewis podcast. And she said that in like the last season finale, she was like, I didn't start talking about it till you did, because when you brought it up, it wasn't a secret no more. So yeah, right? She's confused about, you mad at me, but you was talking about it. Okay. So her thing was, so Heather apologized. She hears Shannon. She apologized. She said, "Hey, check this out. Next time you got a secret, don't tell me nothing. Don't you tell me nothing about the secret. And our friendship, we will rebuild from there. Keep all that secret stuff away from me, because you're getting mad because I might just say something. I ain't got time for this, Shannon." And I like that Heather put the her boundaries on it. And so Shannon said, okay. Okay, so they got that resolved. Good. So then the whole here we go. So then the whole thing about Shannon bringing up to Tamara about Gina may have pushed Travis down some stairs. So Shannon wanted to bring this information to the reunion, so she called Tamara to have Tamara ask Taylor. Taylor is a former castmate, to have Taylor's husband. He's an attorney. Shannon wanted him to look up the information, if there was any information on Gina and Travis. And Taylor's husband said, "I ain't in that mess. No, no, thank you. Take me out the group chat, okay?" So Shannon wanted Tamara to call and all this and all that. And then some stuff about Travis's wiener was an issue. And so Jen, so Kate is like, wiener, what are they talking about? She's asking her best friend, Jen. Jen is like, oh, Travis's wiener. And she was like, oh, it's a big penis. And she said, or a small one. I think that's what they said, a small. I was like, oh, goodness. Travis, I'm so sorry that they talking about you like this. So they asked Gina, are you mad about Shannon trying to dig this information up on you for the reunion? Or are you mad that Tamara brought it up? And she said, I'm more mad at Tamara for bringing it up. Because, Gina and Shannon, they cool. They understand each other. Gina is all in now that Shannon has a DUI, because Shannon was hoorahing Gina when she had hers. So now that Shannon is dealing with it, they kind of, they might have a little trauma bond, but they see each other. They get it. They got it together. They're good. And so Shannon is like, no, Tamara, you told that whole story to me. Stop lying. You said Travis's ex-wife reached out to you. And Tamara's like, I don't even know that lady. I don't even know her name. And Shannon was like, everybody reaches out to you, Tamara. So then Tamara and Shannon, once again, they go back and forth and back again about how hard Tamara went so hard on them, and she just been evil all season. So Emily told Tamara just to say sorry, like no one to throw in the towel, Tamara. All that old repetitive, you're drunk. No, I'm not. You're me. Can you just throw in the towel? You said you wanted some peace. Throw in the towel. So Emily had to tell her, say sorry to Shannon. So Tara is kind of apologizing to Shannon, but she's still kind of shaming Shannon at the same time. You know how Tamara does. So Shannon told Tamara she was wrong. And Tamara was like, okay, you're wrong. And you don't know me like you think you do. Because Tamara swore Shannon still drinking. Shannon, like, I went to a 30-day program. You were in Scotland when I went. No, you call me every night, Shannon. You be drunk and you be talking, and then you get mad and you call me back in 10 minutes. And Shannon is like, I was in rehab for 30 days. I was not drinking. Yes, you were. And it's just like, Emily was like, can you just stop? So then Emily tells Shannon, why don't you? And so, Shannon is making it her point not to fool with Tamara because she said she has a lot of open wounds when it comes to Tamara. And Tamara's like, me too, me too. So Emily was told Shannon, like, give Tamara some grace. You gave Gina grace because you tore Gina up. So give that same grace to Tamara. And so Shannon said, I don't want to be Tamara's friend. So she ain't got to give her nothing. No grace, no mercy, no peace, no love. I don't want to be that friend. How about that? Next, Katie, your turn. Baby, this wore me out. I was like, poor Katie. She gonna get a DUI next. They gonna drive her to drink it. Child, I was like, ooh, okay. So Andy asked, like, did you go see your birth mom? What's up with that? So they did not make it to Korea yet because was her husband's father took ill. So they had to keep up with him, visit him and be there for him. And unluckily, he did end up passing away. So RIP to Matt's dad. So they're gonna go meet her soon. And so she just kind of want to rub it in her face like, I'm doing well and swell, honey. I didn't need you. I am successful. I'm on a show. I got these kids. I got a husband. I got a house. I live in California, and I didn't need you to do it. So she going to do that. So then they jump on her kids. So the son that lives in Atlanta with her ex-husband, their father, all she has, the three older kids are this one ex-husband's kids, okay? So remember, I don't know if this is the youngest that lives with him, but he does. When they broke up, he did not want to leave his friends, his school, his hobbies, nothing. So he got to stay with his dad. That hurts her, of course, but she says she goes to see him every month, and he comes to her house for every holiday, that every time he gets out, every break from school, he comes to her. So then the other son that lived in San Diego, he stayed there with her niece so he could finish up 12th grade out there. And so now he lives in OC with her now, and he's 18. So Gina starts it and Emily finishes it, but they get on her because allegedly she hid or lied about owning the house in San Diego. So Gina's like, yeah, you hit me up because you wanted me to look for you a place in the OC, and you told me you owned that house that you lived in San Diego. So Katie said, well, they do, but they had to start off by doing a rent to own, and they had to pay rent for 2 years. That's what the owners wanted. And so, but you did lie. You lied. Here go Emily. But you did lie to Gina about owning a home because I saw the text where she asked you that you own a house and you said yes. I'm like, golly, Emily, you know what? Everybody need a best friend like Emily. If your best friend does not act like Emily, they are not your best friend. Honey, Emily will jump up in there and will shut it down for Gina, honey. So Katie is denying it. She losing this battle. And she's denying and explaining. That's how I put it. Katie, what she gonna do is she's gonna deny and explain. And so she was like, I thought you moved. Like, you went back. So she said, I went back to San Diego for 2 months because my father-in-law was sick. And that's was that on that. And so Emily was like, well, no, when you came back to the OC, you was living in a different house. They can't move, girl. Maybe they needed more space for the other kid, girl. Still, mind your business, Emily. So Gina She's like, I feel uncomfortable around you and I just don't trust you because, you're just lying. I don't know what it is with you. And so Jen is defending Katie because they're best friends. She like, just ask her. Like she has lots of stories. Just ask her. And child, they was like, oh yeah, because she was sued for stealing that T-shot idea. I was like, what? What happened? What? So allegedly, her business partners know somebody, and they said her idea, this little T, the golf balls, uh, she was making like alcoholic shots with those, like you unscrew it, like, right, and it's a shot in there, and they're called T-shot. It's a T-shot. That's what this called. So somebody allegedly was suing her for $5 million because they said that was their idea. Of course that case was dismissed because how can you prove it was your idea first? Okay, moving on. And so then here go Heather. And she said, well, Sutton just texted me last week and said, you used her. And Kate was like, I used her. Like, yeah, you went down to Sutton's house in Augusta. Augusta is a very huge golf city. Like everybody, golf is Augusta's thing. Yeah, you promised to bring all these high level golfers and no one showed up and you didn't pay for the photographer and she had caterers and this, that, and that. And she said, I offered to pay for all of that. And so Heather said, well, Sutton said you just wanted to promote your business. And it was like, ooh. Then they get back, child, to the original lie. The original lie. Remember the original lie, y'all? When she first met Heather and Heather snubbed her at Sutton's Christmas party. Okay, so here go Heather. Yeah, there is 3 different stories about me snubbing you. The first story, and Katie tries, all would do Katie do, explain and deny. That's all she do is deny and explain. So Heather had to tell her, like, stop cutting me off, let me finish. Katie is trying to, nope, that ain't what she was like, I'm not finished. And it was like, Andy, tell Katie to be quiet. Andy didn't tell her. So the first story was in the driveway, Heather looked at me and my husband, and then she looked away. Story number 2 was at the bar inside, Heather was with Denise Richards and Camille Grammer. And Heather said, I never saw Camille at the party. And she said, I don't know why you didn't. She was standing right next to you. Oh, then story number 3 was I was in a group of people and your name came up and I didn't respond. And so everyone thought that was weird. And then Katie said, well, that didn't happen at the Christmas party. That happened at Sutton's last party, whatever that was. So Heather just told, oh, girl, check this out. Look at here, honey. When you come into this group of women, we want to be friends. We want to have friends, okay? So only a moron would, do all the things that you accuse me of, and I'm not a moron. I said, you better talk your talk, Heather. What's her last name? Terry Heather Dubrow. You better talk your talk, Miss Dubrow. Talk your talk. And I'm not a moron, sorry, and I'm not a moron. Then, girl, hold on, let me get some water because I'm so tired of talking about this paparazzi mess. Ooh, that's cold. So for the 100th time, child, we got to go down this thing about the paparazzi. Heather said she did not call the paparazzi. She said, let it go. And then her point was Katie has no credibility. And that means, you know what? Shut your trap and don't talk to me ever again. That's what that means. So Katie apologizes to Gina for Tamara telling her that Gina set her up about this paparazzi story. Because they tried, because Tamara tried to say, "Oh, Gina is the one that probably told you to do that." That sounded like something Gina was so. And Katie, why did you even buy into that? But Katie was like, "Well, I'm new to the group, so I don't know. Whatever." So Heather just asked her, "Why do you even care?" I was like, Heather was like, "Why do you care what I do? If I have a photographer, if I call a paparazzi, who are you to be digging my stuff up weeks before you meet me?" Like, and if I did, this is what I said, y'all, early in the season. If Heather did call a paparazzi so and what and so, like, is that a crime? Okay, I don't ever want to talk about this season. Kind of wears you out. It's just a lot of repetitiveness about Shannon and that lawsuit with Johnny J. Shannon and this DUI. Alexis and Johnny J. And this paparazzi. Whoo, if this didn't drive me nuts. So Heather said false. She said, "Oh, falsely accusation. No, falsely accusing people. That's your thing, because that's what you do. Falsely accusing people, making accusations, false accusations is what I'm trying to say." It's about what, almost 11 o'clock. So forgive me, I'm getting sleepy. But baby, she was like, "That's what you do." And they was like, "Well, who else? Who else?" So honey, here go the story. Who brought it up? I'm Emily. So here go the story, y'all. 10 years ago, Katie is breaking up with her ex-husband, right? She has the 3 kids in her back seat. She's driving. She's in Marietta, Georgia. Okay, so picture Georgia, okay, the South. And she is a Chinese lady, Korean, right? So she's driving down the street. She was texting and driving. Some guy, I'm sure he was a white man, saw her and he got triggered, because those white folks are good for trying to tell you how to drive. It is their right. It's in their blood and their DNA. They always have to tell you what to do. So he was triggered because the story goes, someone he knows was killed behind a driver that was texting, so that triggered him. So he's honking at her, calling her all kind of out of name and all this and all that. So she's like, "Oh my gosh," right? Because now you all panicking because you got your kids. So she pulls over. And guess who pulls over with her? This nut. He pulls over. He gets out. He does a wah, 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 blocking her. She calls the police. He takes his phone out. He's videotaping her kids in the car. She calls the police. The police is like, "Can you back up? Can you get away? Can you drive off?" And they come. So it was on their way. So they come, they hitting him up. He all irate. So they had to kind of like get him and charged him and arrested him, right? So the reports that the police put out there and him is that she followed him to his house, get out the car, fussing at him. Allegedly, he was like he got scared, so they called the police on her. Um, the police get to his house. She's all telling the police that he wouldn't let her go. So they had manhandled him and then end up arresting him. Then they end up figuring out that she was uh the aggressor in this uh situation. So then they send her, they summons her to come to go to court, to come to court, to bring this case up. So remember, she just leaving her ex-husband now. So they used the address that was on her license, which is where he was staying. So allegedly, they served him her paperwork. And Gina is like, "That's not possible." But you don't know. You don't live in Georgia. It could be possible in Georgia. So, being that they're breaking up, he's not telling her what's going on. He getting official documents from the courthouse and he's not telling her. So she didn't know she had to be in court Of course, she's guilty because she didn't show up. Oh, it was a mess. It was a mess. So, um, so she lets us know, and at that time, she was homeless. She had nowhere to go. She had her kids, and she was just homeless. She just trying to figure her life out, and blah blah, and a rah rah rah. And so, um, Emily asks, "Well, how did you lose physical and legal custody of your children?" And I'm just sitting here like, enough! Like, you guys have torn into Katie. If she don't return, it'll be because she quit. It'll be because she quit. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, Emily, like, she clocked. Did Emily not clock into work, honey? So yeah, so Emily kind of like, I was reading up on you about this losing physical and legal custody of your children. And she's like, I don't understand that. Can you explain that? Because the only way that that can happen is if you're an unfit mother or if you give up your kids. And she was like, I was having a hard time. She said, yeah, but legal custody means you gave it up because it's just something whatever she said. So Katie was like, and it's like, Emily, did you not just hear this girl tell you that she was homeless with her 3 kids and she had nowhere to go? Now you're going to ask her about this. Clearly, she gave them up so they could be with the father because she was homeless. Goodness gracious. I got to take a deep breath. Like, let's pause because I felt like, Emily, like you could just be. You know how Emily been getting on my nerves because of all her little confessionals, what she been saying. Here we go again. Now you just rock. Emily could just really drive me crazy. Okay. So Katie says she didn't have anything. So she let the ex-husband have the kids while she was figuring her life out. Emily, is that what you just wanted her to say? Did you want her to say that? And so she said, they co-parent very well for the next 18 months. She showed up to every time she was supposed to show up, she did. And then they was like, well, how did you get them back? Well, you're the attorney. Don't you know how this goes? What do you mean how? Oh, you think maybe he just gave them up to her? Like, you are just so, sometimes Emily makes me sick. So she was like, I fought to get them back. Duh. Went back and forth to court a few times and got my kids. Like, duh. So thank goodness, Heather, they had a break. Because, yeah, we all needed a break after all of that because they told into Katie. So Heather walked over to Katie, said, Katie, she said, she said, I'm really sorry to hear about your children, And she said some other words about that. Then she told her, I wasn't going to bring that up. I'm going to just let you know, girl. I was going to talk about Sutton's Christmas party and that paparazzi. That's all I had. I was not even trying to come at you about your kids. Okay. So that was not, let her know, like, don't even, my name ain't gonna never pop into that. Don't you ever think I will have something to do with that. Okay. Okay. We good. Okay. I don't think they're good like friends, but that was nice of Heather. That was nice of Heather. So next, Ryan. And we gotta, and this is where it ends. So they'll pick up next week with Ryan. I don't know, did they finish Ryan? Well, let's get into it. So we just gonna get to the nitty-gritty. So Ryan and the dirty business. So the way this story goes is the Dodgers baseball player Otani's interpreter has a gambling addiction. So he makes bets with Matt, who is an illegal bookie, right? So the interpreter was in debt because he has a gambling problem. So he stole millions of dollars from Otani's accounts, okay? So they put that money into Ryan's account. We're talking about like $16 million, right? So Ryan then was moving money into marker accounts in the casinos, and then he would cash the money in for chips. And so that's how they were gambling in the casinos so much. You know, they was going to Vegas every other weekend, going to the Bahamas, going here, going there. And so Jen is trying to explain that Matt's bookie business allows this to happen. Oh, this is just how it works. Because clearly someone is grooming and, rehearsing and putting false narratives in Jen's head because she's gullible. She'll believe anything Ryan says. She'll look at the sky, and if he tells her it's polka dot, she will believe that. She's a nice girl. She's a very good girl, sweet as can be, but those types can be taken advantage of. Uh-huh. So Gina tells Jen, I will just worry about you. Like you be on them planes and in them hotels, and I just be scared that the feds just gonna pull up on you one day. So the Emily says, they've lost millions, but that's where the laundering of the money comes in. Uh-huh. So Matt said at the party, at Jen and Ryan's engagement party, Matt was like, hey, Ryan, this is my money launderer. And so Jim was like, well, he was being funny when he said that. And so Emily was like, well, yeah, okay, if that's what you want to think, but he do have a criminal enterprise. Talking about Matt. And so, it's like, well, Ryan isn't being charged. He got an immunity. And they're all like, well, he didn't say it or gave up something to get immunity. You got to give up something to get that. And I was like, I don't know about this particular case because Matt pleaded guilty in this case. So did Ryan? Maybe it was automatic because Matt pleaded guilty because what would Ryan need to say? Because I think I had looked it up and it was like Ryan didn't need to say anything if the guy pleaded guilty. So Ryan isn't being charged, and then Jen gonna throw some salt back on Emily for bringing up all her mess, So she said, but what about you? Your in-laws fund your lifestyle. Uh-huh. Don't think I don't know that. Ex attorney that don't work. Uh-huh. What about how you getting cared for by your in-laws talking about me and how I'm over here at Ryan's house, who's paying your mortgage? Because Shane just got his bar. He just passed the bar last season. And every attorney ain't making money from the jump, honey. So yeah, don't come for her. Now that's right. You know what I like about Jen? She is sweet and all gullible, but she will read you down. She got come back. She will come back. And I like that about her. So come on, Jen. Tell us what you know. Tell us what you know about Emily. Because she been coming for you all season. And I really hope they run them confessionals back so Jen can see all the smack that Emily been talking. But the besties, that was the end of the episode. It was good. It was heavy. Oh, it was just too much Katie. So I hope we're done with Katie's part. Can we not come back? Because I don't think she did anything else. Maybe like talk about Tamara going off at her house. But let's not talk about Katie. I'm worn out. I think we covered Katie in part one. We'll wait and see next week, besties, when part two come. I know Alexis has to come. Did y'all see the preview where Shannon tells Alexis that she said, I took your job and I'm still here 10 years later? Ooh. I was like, okay, Shannon with the clap back. The girls are clocking in, and I'm not a reunion chick, but this one was good. Okay, besties, you let me know with your comments how you feel about the show, that you like it. It was a lot of Katie. It was a lot of Katie. But we will get part two and then part three. And I will just go ahead and say OC season 18 was good. It was good. It was a lot of repetitiveness, but it was good. Okay, besties. I will see you on the next video. Bye, besties.